Hello folks, welcome to another Monday Madness Marvel Heroes stream. I'm pretty excited today. We had some major changes over the weekend, and so I'm actually kind of debating what I'm going to do exactly, because we have an old hero. We've got Beast. Oh, hey, look at that. My stream is working. So we've got the old favorite hero, or the new favorite hero rather, now Beast, because I'm working on getting him up to Cosmic level 60. And then we also have, hang on one second. And we also have Nick Fury, our newest released hero, that I ended up getting as part of my little video that I did over the weekend discussing the patch changes. So we got some cool stuff going on. And incidentally, Nick Fury is actually pretty fun. I had a decent time playing as him. I didn't get him up to 60, but the time that I spent playing as him was pretty good. It wasn't like the most amazing thing ever, but I'm glad because he's at least somewhat unique. I don't know how many people have tried him out, but he's reasonable. There's certainly some room for improvement, and the biggest thing I was worried about was that he would be too similar, particularly to Black Widow. And he's not overly similar to her, but he's like similar enough to a bunch of other heroes that it's kind of like, I mean, again, it's okay, just not stupendous and like groundbreaking type of thing. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I can let you guys be the judge of that. I'll play as him at least a little bit. +1 intelligence. Boo! Weak sauce. Mega weak sauce. So you see, I've only got Beast to level 51 on Cosmic because, holy free holies, you guys. Cosmic takes forever. Like, no joke. Really and truly does. It's the nature of the beast. Oh! Boom! Get it? Because I'm playing as a character called Beast? Come on, you guys. That was hilarious. No, it wasn't? Okay, fine. You're all lame, and you smell funny. But look! Martha Wynn is here. Holla at you, Martha Wynn. Great to have you. As always. It's always great to have everybody. But still, it's nice to say hi. So I think what I'll do first is I'll just give you guys a little bit of a Nick Fury demo, just so you guys can see him. And the other big change that we had too was to the Infinity system. That has been completely retooled as well. And again, I'll let you guys just take a look at that so you can see the changes. Let me see real quick. Let's take a look at our viewer list, just so I can make sure to say hi to everybody. Hey, look, Rev's here. Even though Rev didn't say hi, Rev is still here. Hi, Rev. See, I said hi. So this is Nick Fury. And effectively, he's got basically guns and explosives type of thing. He's got a lot of area effect stuff. He has an ammo system very similar to Punisher, where you have to actually reload. You have to use a power to regain his resource. And his big thing with his talents are you can get the fire team, which are just a bunch of different summons that'll come down and help you. So that's really the big thing that differentiates him from other similar characters. But aside from that, he's really pretty similar to a lot of people. He's got some stealthy stuff similar to like Nightcrawler and Psylocke. He's got and also Black Widow. He's got the shooting similar to Punisher with the ammo. Yeah. So there's decent number of similarities to other heroes. I haven't done a great deal of just like sort of messing around, so I'm not entirely certain exactly what some of the differences are. As far as how he functions exactly and what you can do. But even so, he's not bad, if maybe just a touch boring for my particular taste. But that's just me. And he's another hero with a motorcycle travel. Because that's what everybody needs. In case you guys didn't know. Everybody needs to have some. Retro Zero is here. Well, I hope that you all had good weekends, as always. You guys know I always wish you good weekends and happy times. And the like. Who's that? Astonishing Accelerator. Good lord. That was some crazy sneezing, you guys. Did you see that crazy sneezing? I sound so underwhelmed. Well, that's because I kind of am. And that's what I said. I said it when Nick Fury was first announced that this is what I was worried about. I was worried that he was going to be a hero who felt too samey to particularly Black Widow. And while he does have unique aspects, he does in a lot of ways feel very, very similar to, I mean, a combination of heroes. But, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That's the thing. I don't find him necessarily boring. I think he's interesting to play. He's got some cool stuff that you can do with him and some unique power combinations and stuff like that. But I think one of the issues with any game like this is that the designers, the developers, are going to be hard-pressed to really make characters unique and different from what's already been done. And that's why, like, Black Bolt was a perfect example of something that could be really cool, interesting, and different just because of the nature of his powers. But when you have somebody like Nick Fury, it's like, what does he do? He's a CIA operative who blows stuff up and shoots a bunch of guns. Like, how can you really make that any different from everybody else that already is here? Like, honestly, there's not much that can be done, unfortunately. And, again, it's not inherently a bad thing. It's just nature of the nature of this type of game in general. It's a tough thing to not to get around, but a tough thing to sort of resolve within itself. So I say, like, it's neither inherently good nor bad, though, in my opinion, at least. All right, I'm going to do story mode instead for a little bit. Donnie the Dark is here. It's been forever. Holla at ya. Great to see you. But yeah, like that's what I'm saying. You know, it's very, very difficult to make a unique feeling hero when you've got I think he's like the 62nd hero that we've had or something like that. It's ridiculous. It's difficult, and I understand that and I appreciate it, but again, if you're picking somebody like Nick Fury, where it's like he goes pew pew boom boom, then it's like, how could he not feel similar to at least a decent number of other people who are already in the game? It's just, I don't know. To me, it just seems like a losing battle from the get-go. Oh yeah, Retro. It's one of those things where, especially after all of the recent changes and even the ones this last weekend. So I'll show you guys the big thing that happened here with the Infinity system. So you guys know the Infinity system replaced the Omega system, which we got, God, what? Almost 2 years ago now. At this point, we got the Omega system. And then the Infinity system we only just got a few months ago with the 2.0 release. But effectively, what they changed now is we used to have what was referred to as the round-robin points, where whenever you got an infinity point, it would be assigned to one of the infinity gems: time, reality, power, etc., etc. But now instead we have just a pool of points that we've got, and they also drastically changed some of the nodes. They've also added in incentives so that you're encouraged to diversify, but you're not directly forced to diversify. So it's interesting the way that they went about it. I think it's nice because it does give people more options. It doesn't really pigeonhole you into specific builds and things like that. But man, they are having to tweak so many different aspects of all of this stuff in order just to make it workable. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, that's what I'm still wondering. I'm wondering about, like, we're supposed to have the Omega difficulty and items and all this kind of stuff. I mean, everybody, including myself, I'm waiting for more endgame stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, compared to other action RPGs, the endgame here is not bad. I very briefly played Path of Exile. I don't know if I even still have it installed on my computer, but I did stream it once or twice, I think, when I was taking a break from Marvel Heroes. And I enjoyed it, and I know that essentially Path of Exile is sort of like held up as what everybody wants action RPGs to be in terms of endgame. They have like this map system. It's kind of weird. Like I said, I never actually got to it, so I don't fully understand precisely how it works. But from what I gathered, essentially you get these maps which are rare drops or some kind of some relatively uncommon drop. And then it's similar, it acts similarly to the Danger Room in Marvel Heroes, although the Path of Exile version came long before, where the idea is that you'll get these random things and then you go in and it's like a scenario you go through in the hopes of getting really good gear type of thing. And that's essentially the Path of Exile endgame as far as I can tell. Again, I didn't actually make it to endgame, so I honestly have no idea. But that's just what I got from reading. In Marvel Heroes, we are, I wouldn't say famous, but we stand out here in the sense that we've got the raids. But when was the last time we got a new raid? We got Axis Raid, what, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago at the earliest? I mean, and then like we got the Danger Room and some of this stuff updated and changed, meant to be endgame. The Cosmic Trials, changing the cosmic areas, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's just not very good. It's not very different, and it gets repetitive, as many games like this do. But that's the way it is, unfortunately. I totally agree, Donnie in the Dark. We gotta get priorities like the Omega gear and stuff like that to really in a big way bring back veterans, because people like me, I don't play nearly as much as I used to, and that's even going back a few months. Not to mention a couple years ago, I used to play a lot more. I would play hours every day. But now, mostly when I play, it's just on my stream, because I'm grinding through Cosmic Beast, and all I can think is just like, why am I doing this? What's the point? What's the point? And it's when that kind of stuff happens, then it's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I found other games that I've enjoyed more. I mean, Marvel Heroes, they're doing good stuff. They are doing good work. They're trying. We had this most recent patch that changed the Infinity system, and it's not bad. I've liked most of the changes, but I mean, they've got to do a lot more to bring back and keep, especially some of the veteran players, honestly. But that's just one gamer's opinion. Doesn't matter what I think. Nobody cares. Hey, look, Rev's here. You had help with homework. I hope it was easy homework. I mean, we wouldn't want your brain to hurt too much there, Rev. That would be a shame. Exactly, Donnie. And I think that's one of the things that they've really been prioritizing is getting new heroes or getting new players as opposed to keeping the veterans. Which, I mean, I can understand because new blood means that you're probably going to get longer play times, more likely to purchase things if they're starting off fresh, that kind of stuff. From a business perspective, I can totally understand that. But at the same time, as a veteran player, I mean, you can't help but feel like you're ignored. And we're sitting here, we've been waiting for these Omega things since they were announced months ago and haven't seen any sign of them yet, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But, I mean, again, as gamers, as players, there's only so much that we can do. But we try. We try.
Oh, I've been looking forward to this. Surprise!
Oh, yeah. You're, is that Camden boy? You're absolutely right. The thing is, truly the raids were a unique selling point because action RPGs in general, you do not see raids. It is not a common thing. And I enjoy the raids. I still do. I really don't do them very frequently because, again, at this point, raids are on farming status for many, many people. You just go in there to hopefully, maybe, possibly, theoretically, get a small incremental increase in whatever you've already got. But that's it. You're really not getting much from them. And it's a shame. It really is. It's unfortunate because for a while they were really good and everybody loved them. But it's the same thing now, like with X Defense. Used to be that people loved their X Defense. Now nobody really does it. Just like nobody really does. I mean, people do HoloSim a little bit more, but most of the time, the only reason people go into HoloSim is for events that give you bonuses for going into HoloSim. And that's the problem is with any game like this, you need to really have player-driven incentives for actually playing. And that's a problem with a lot of massive online games. I mean, Blizzard's hit the nail on the head several times, just like things like, not Heroes of the Storm, but League of Legends and like Dota, things like that. They just worked well and they hit the right balance with competitiveness and exposure. Marvel Heroes, let's face it, just has not had the exposure of things like Diablo and stuff like that. And on top of that, a lot of the features that it has go relatively unused. I mean, for crying out loud, look at PvP. I mean, for crying out loud, PvP is technically still in beta at this point. It's pretty ridiculous. South American history. Oh, cool. Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really unfortunate because there was a lot that was very, very good, and one of the nice things about most action RPGs is one of the big selling points is solo content. You generally don't need to team up in order to do stuff. Whether it's this or Path of Exile or Diablo, whatever it happens to be, more often than not, you can do whatever you want without bothering to play with any other people. And if that were to change, if they did try to go more in the style of a traditional MMORPG, it would be a huge problem because most people would not like that. I mean, think about like what are the incentives of joining a supergroup? They're effectively non-existent. There is no reason to join in a supergroup. That's just the way it is. I mean, in World of Warcraft, for example, you really don't have a whole lot more incentive. You have more than you have in Marvel Heroes. But I mean, let's face it, World of Warcraft is more about doing those sweet, sweet raids at this point, really. But that's beside the point.
Going up against Shield definitely counts as bad judgment.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like PvP was, I mean, I don't like saying it was a flop, but I don't know that anybody really does it extremely consistently. But that's just me. I honestly don't know. I will tell you this. I don't think that people come to Marvel Heroes for the PvP experience. People might watch my videos when I attempt to PvP in order to laugh their heads off. But other than that, I really don't think people are coming in for PvP, honestly. And the few who are get really upset. You see it on the forums all the time where they feel like they're not being heard. And they aren't, because it's such a small percentage of the game, the gaming base, that Gaz really doesn't have much reason in changing much, unfortunately. I mean, you'll see balance tweaks here and there every once in a while, but other than that, they really don't get much, unfortunately. But yeah. Yeah, and I agree to a good extent, Rev, about the feedback, because a lot of people called it where after essentially after Brevik and Doomsaw collectively left, a lot of people were just like, "Oh, game's dead," and or at the very least the community was, and then particularly after Real Near left, yeah, I mean it's been rough in the community. That was one of the huge draws for me personally for the game, was I absolutely adored the forum community and how open and willing to listen the developers were. But man, that took a turn. It was rough. It was pretty rough, honestly. But you're also absolutely right, Rev, with the guild perks and WoW. And again, that's one of the issues with Marvel Heroes, is that the social aspects for a game like this need to be social. If you have social aspects that don't encourage you as a player to be social, then what's the point of having social aspects? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And people are selfish and douchebags, essentially. If you want a human to do anything, you have to give them incentive to do it. I mean, like, for example, prestiging is a perfect example. Like, why do we prestige? The only reason for anybody to prestige right now is to get costumes and a change in the way your name looks. Other than that, we literally get nothing. I mean, it is literally just prestige. And even then, half the people don't care. Like, I don't look at the chat and be like, whoa, that guy's a cosmic. That's awesome. I do on occasion when I'm on a stream. But other than that, I'm just kind of like, eh. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm doing a cosmic on Beast. I just got level 60 with Nick Fury. And I'm just like, meh. Eh. Incidentally, that's the other thing, too, is how the power creep always gets you. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. Power creep is the enemy of all things online gaming.
But maybe I can provide some protection.
Dr. Henry McCoy at your
But see, you guys saw how relatively quickly I got from, what did I start at with Fury? I was like 30 something, I think. I don't remember exactly. Oh, that's right. Those are story things. I was like, why do I have all these random boxes?
My mind has never
I forgot that the story rewards go into boxes now. Excuse me. But, I mean, guys, you know, I'm always curious what you all think about it. So, like, what are your thoughts and feels on it? We heard from Rev a little bit, at least. But what about the rest of you guys? I mean, I know Retro, you mentioned that you're probably not going to be coming back. But, I mean, I'm just curious. And Donnie in the Dark, are you playing? What is this? Doing BUE. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, right? So the big thing with the Prestige is the fact that we're going to be getting something else, maybe, possibly. But as far as the costumes are concerned, the big thing for that is the closet system, so to speak, where instead of having a bunch of arbitrary costumes that take up spots, instead we're just going to have like sort of a drop down menu that lists all of the costumes we've obtained for a specific hero. And that's why this got moved out. So previously these were costume cores that you had to assign to a specific costume, but now it's a completely separate slot instead. Oh, okay. I mean, that's what I said. It's interesting what they did with particularly the Infinity system, the changes that we've had here. In general, I like them. In general, I am a fan of them. It's some of them are tough to get my head around, but not terrible. Not terrible overall. Durability. No. Yes. And again, with the Infinity system now having the little perks that you get, so you see, like I've got Soul Mastery because I've spent 133 points, so I get some cool little stuff for that. And then Space, I've spent 100, so I get the 50 and the 100 bonuses. For Time, I get the 50 and 100. Mind, 50 and 100. Power, 50 and 100. Yeah. I mean, it's nifty to have that diversification incentive. Again, the biggest issue that we had with the Infinity system was that players were essentially pigeonholed into specific builds and selecting specific powers. I don't know about a translation into the Omega difficulty. Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, we've said that, like, I mean, everything is supposedly a transition to everything else, right? But I don't know if I can get on board with that exact aspect. I don't think that that's really the case. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm waiting for it. I want the Omega difficulty, but I don't know. The other thing that I want is to be in red difficulty, not green. And honestly, I haven't read anything about the, what's it called? The Omega difficulty recently at all. I honestly don't remember the last time I heard something about it.
Apocalypse is dead, but I am not free.
What is that? Valerian 04, I believe is how you say that. You have a really good point. I mean, the devs have even said that when the movies come out, they always see a surge in new players. And it was the same thing like when they released the 2.0 of MH 2016 and when they released MH16 1.0. They had huge surges in the player base, at least initially. But just like with any online game, that stuff is going to die off relatively quickly afterwards. It's unfortunate, but it's also, again, it's the nature of the game. That's true. You do get new buffs and stuff with it, with the Infinity system. I'm still curious how it's going to work because, again, the Omega stuff is supposed to be our new endgame content, which has me trepidatious, or has me feeling trepidatious, I should say, in the sense that the way that I see it and the way that I imagine it's going to work out is we're just going to end up with a new difficulty, but still the same areas. And that's not going to do us any better than what we've already got. +1 fighting. Ugh. It's nice that it's got fighting, but I can't deal with only a +1. So I get a new one. Looking for geared CDR group for 70+ difficulty speed runs. Well, that's fun. Incidentally, CDR is Cosmic Danger Room, for those of you who don't know. But again, see, this is just like what's happening in World of Warcraft. The problem is that Marvel Heroes does not have the clout and the fan base of World of Warcraft, unfortunately. And in my opinion, at least, there's a lot of different things they can do to fix it. I'm just one gamer, though, and let's face it, nobody cares what one person thinks, especially one member of the group when I have nothing to do with the actual development team, obviously. But that's neither here nor there. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Hulk. I didn't mean to laugh at you. But seriously. Well, and I think that a lot of people are thinking the same thing, Valerian. I have not played since beta. I haven't been in nearly as long as some other people. I came in just a little bit after the official release, after the beta was completed, and essentially some of my friends dragged me into it. So it's funny because you guys all know, or at least most of you know, I am a member of a supergroup. I am actually the only member of the Magneto Was Right supergroup. Yes, I am the one who managed to grab that. But the thing is, I am literally the only active member of it. So, yeah. Wait, what? What happened to everybody else? Like... literally, they're not even listed anymore. What? That's crazy. Something has to be broken here. But either way, like, Magneto was right. It's mine. So take that. But again, it was just, they went the way of a lot of other players where it was just like... not enjoying it for whatever reason, and so sort of went bye-bye. But myself, like many of the veterans, I'm hoping that the Omega changes really breathe a new life into the game. I think that there's a lot of potential for it, but at the same time, I really do feel that in the end, honestly, what Marvel Heroes needs is more content. That is really what's going to help the game survive. And it's problematic because it's difficult to do in a game like this. They're not charging for expansions. One thing they said at the very beginning was that they're not going to increase the level cap, for example. And I mean, they don't charge the monthly fee. It is free to play. So, you know, there's a lot of difficulty in terms of the economics of having a game like this that I can certainly appreciate. But and I think that's sort of where the idea for the Omegas came from, where it's a compromise between the two, where, yes, it's not new content, but it'll breathe new life into the old content type of thing. That said, I'm sure that when we get some of the new big ticket Marvel movies, we're probably going to see at least a bit of a resurgence in terms of some new and shiny stuff. Some like actual new content. Because we got the first raid, the Muspelheim raid with the first Thor movie, if I'm not mistaken. Dang it, energy. What? That's not working now? Oh, it's because it's full. Oh, whew, scared me. But yeah, I'm hopeful still. Incidentally, just the other day I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Turns out I'm an awesome button masher, FYI. No clue what I did, but I won. Wow. And I think the other big thing that Marvel has going for it is the event tie-ins. Because if there's any IP that can bring people in, it's Marvel. At least at this point in time. Yeah, it's definitely a big deal. But we'll see. Oops. I always forget to grab it. Eat my shorts. Literally, because they're shorts. Thank you! Thank you! You're welcome, world. You're welcome for that. What's my lineup in Marvel vs. Capcom? Oh my god, who did I use? I kept switching it because, like I said, I genuinely don't know how to play the game. I was just messing around, Retro. And actually today I added Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to my Steam wishlist because I was like, I forgot how much ridiculous, crazy fun those games are. But god, who did I use? I used... At various points, I don't remember exactly who my teams were, but I had Spider-Man, I had Gambit, I had the tentacle dude, I can never remember the guy's name. I had Venom at one point. I had, who else did I use? God, geez, I'm trying to remember. I honestly don't remember. I didn't use Cable, but I remember seeing Cable and, like, nerding out. I nerded out with everybody, though. I believe I used Cyclops at one point. Who else did I use? I used Captain America because I remember Charging Shield or Charging Star, whatever it is. Because that was the only thing I could do relatively consistently. Let me think. What else? I honestly don't remember anybody else I used. Again, I had no idea how to play. I just sort of guesstimated. And I did reasonably well against a fellow button masher. So, I don't know if that's good, bad, or in between, but I don't care. Well, I agree with you, Grain. I agree that they can pull out of this. They certainly can. There is still a good game here. There is still enjoyable content. There's still a lot of fun. I just really worry that it's going to be difficult for them to really balance what they need to focus on. Because part of the problem is that what they need to focus on for veterans like me and what they need to focus on for new people is generally completely different stuff. But I believe that for me, and I think for a decent amount of the community, if they keep focusing on stuff like the visuals and like new costumes and stuff like that, they're gonna end up probably losing more people. Now, I understand economically that's what they need to do because that's how they get money. But at the same time, what's worse, losing players because of lack of content, or having the what few players remain spend a little bit more money? If you lose a bunch of players, then I think it's more likely you're going to lose bigger piles of cash, personally. But I don't know. We'll see. So use Team Big Body, Sentinel, Juggernaut, and Hulk. Nice. That sounds like fun. Yeah, that's a really good point, Donnie. And the more different stuff that we get from the Omega things, the better off we'll be. But at the same time, we're going to end up with power creep. You know, there's always going to be the most sought-after affixes. I mean, we had that problem with the costume cores, right? Where it's like everybody wants a trifecta and nothing else will do. I mean, right now, like, think about it. The Gems of the Curse used to be the most sought-after unique, but now they are literally used as currency. That's it. Like, I don't know people who actually utilize Gems of the Cursed as a character equipable item anymore. Like, it's weird. They're kind of like pennies. Everybody's got them. Everybody knows that you can use them. And yes, they're acceptable, but nobody really carries them around. Again, that's just my opinion. But I just find it ironic that that's happened to what was once the most sought after item. Oh, Shern Magorath. That's the tentacle dude, right? Yeah, he's fun. Well, so there's a lot of potential issues with the Omega thing. So look, a perfect example is what we've had recently with the addition of the like the cosmic powered artifacts, right? Because the thing that everybody knew would happen happened, where now all people are going to care about is getting the cosmic versions of these various items. They don't care about the regular versions anymore. And that means that you have to do even more farming. The fact that you have to do even more farming means that it's going to take even longer, which means that all of this stuff is going to be even worse. I mean, it's a huge, brutal, nasty cycle. That's really what it boils down to. It's kind of fun that I got that body armor. From my shield box. But yeah, I mean, the entirety of the Marvel Heroes economy is based on deflation. The entire economy of any game like this is based off of deflation. Because let's face it, if you add new content and you don't incentivize, nobody's going to do it. Humans are lazy. We don't care. If we don't have to do something, we are not going to do it. The only way to make somebody do something is to make it worthwhile. And the way to make human beings do something and make it worthwhile is to give them stuff. That is what it boils down to. It's an unfortunate reality. Why is this not working? What the this is really weird. What? This is so strange. That was a really weird glitch. Sorry, it's a feature. I'm sorry. It's a feature. Maybe. I don't know. We'll pretend it is. Shh. Yeah, rarefying while you're in a party helps. But again, it's a frustrating thing to now have to farm for all this new stuff. And again, it happens no matter what. So like, look at World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is probably an extreme example of the power creep, but that's because they increased level cap. When you increase level cap, that means that all of the equipment that you fought so hard for and spent hours and hours and hours earning in those giant raids has now immediately become useless. Well, okay, maybe not useless, but close enough to useless that it's useless. And it's unfortunate. It really is. But at the same time, it's the nature of games like that. And I remember after... what was it? I want to say it was Wrath of the Lich King, if I'm not mistaken. Or whatever. What was the third one? Was Wrath of the Lich King the third one? Because I only played through Burning Crusade. But either way, point being, at some point after one of the expansions, and somebody got like all the great gear, they went back to the original giant like 40-man raids like Onyxia, went in and they beat it solo. When you can beat a 40-man level 60 raid solo, then that's what you're talking about when you talk about power creep. Okay, because, you know, they increased the level cap twice to like level 80 or whatever it was. And so, of course, you're way more powerful than anything else. So you just blow everything out of the water. It's ridiculous. Oh, okay. They were still in tier 3. Well, still. I mean, the point stands, Rev. The point stands. Where the idea is that there is new shiny to get. And when you get the new shiny, then it replaces old shiny. So sure, yes, it's possible. But is it ideal? Unlikely. And that is the problem, Donnie. That is the exact problem. Where, again, we don't have an incentive to do most of this stuff. Why should I bother fully decking out my heroes when it doesn't matter? For crying out loud, what, like a year ago at this point, I went on a raid with my Colossus and I literally had a Shield of Perseus. And I think that was it. I may have had a couple of uniques and an artifact, but essentially I just had a Shield of Perseus. Not a problem whatsoever. I was carried through the raid with no issues. Like, there is no reason to really equip yourself. There really isn't. Speaking of which, is anybody willing to do a quick raid? Just to demonstrate that. I would love, if you guys have like the, like really decked out heroes, I would love to just like go in and just like raid something as quick as possible. I mean, without having Brevik on our team. Because when you have Brevik, that's cheating. Well, Rev, still the point stands. You may not inherently improve on the best, but the power creep is called a power creep for a reason. It may not happen all at once, but eventually it's going to happen. As you add content, as you add new stuff, inevitably stuff is going to get replaced. Whether it gets replaced quickly or relatively slowly, doesn't matter. It's still going to happen. Giving tiny human dinner. Don't feed the tiny human! And Rev uninstalled Marvel Heroes. Don't worry, you guys. At some point, I'm going to buy Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then you guys can see how badly I suck at it. Incidentally, I was debating, because somebody sent me a tweet the other day about teaming up in CSGO. So, what I'm thinking is that this week I'll send out another poll to see what I'll play on Saturday, and CSGO might be on the list, because freaking CSGO. And you guys can see how badly I suck. Power creep is power reset. That is very true. That is very true. But again, in a game like that, that's what happens, Rev. That is exactly what happens. You end up whenever you alter what the BIS is, then you ruin it all. And for those uninitiated, BIS means best in slot. In other words, the best item for a specific hero or a specific character class or build, whatever it happens to be, it is the best thing that they can have.
Apocalypse is dead, but I am not free.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but one of the issues is that action RPGs, not overly known for doing that. I guess Guild Wars did it a little bit. Guild Wars completely revamped itself, though, and became Guild Wars 2. Honestly, I have not played Guild Wars 2, so I really don't know much about it. I used to play Guild Wars, and like I did the whole jazz. I did everything with it. And that was a little bit more action RPG-ish compared to WoW, but it was still more MMORPG than it was action RPG. Same thing with, what's it called? EVE Online. I was in EVE Online for about a year and a half or so. And it was the same kind of thing. I played with a bunch of guys that I worked with, and we were in our, what do they call them in there? Corporations. So we had our little corporation that we were all members of and did our things. None of us were really super into it, but my boss on occasion came out and said that he needed help in a mission, and so when I was at work, I would play EVE Online. I worked for a game company, so it was pretty awesome. But that was probably one of the more complex games that I ended up playing and really getting into. But in that game, you really carve your own path type of thing as far as what you want to do. It's much more open-ended regarding what you can do and how you go about playing. But that's beside the point. Yeah, and it's like over the last couple of days, somebody commented on a few of my videos asking me about items and itemization and like how do I figure out what's good and what to keep and all this kind of stuff, with the problem essentially being it's essentially raining uniques at this point, and I don't know what to do. Like how do I figure out what to keep and what to get rid of? Because the thing is, let's think about it. We used to be incentivized to keep old uniques because we could trade them in at the crafter for credits or relics or, you know, all sorts of different stuff. Now, we can't do that anymore. We used to be incentivized to keep them because they were actually rare, and we could re-roll them to get good affixes and stuff like that. Now, when we do our re-rolls, it's kind of like, meh. But you guys have seen, how many uniques have I gotten just in, what, the half hour or so I've been playing as Beast? Like, it's insane. Granted, I don't farm artifacts. I am not about that. But even artifacts, compared to how they were, much, much easier to get. Not inherently a bad thing, but part of the problem comes from people who just like, I need to have it right now, and if I don't get it, I'm going to be very upset. So it becomes an issue. I mean, just thinking about like how fast it is to level up in this game. Absolutely blazing fast. Blazing fast. You guys saw how quickly I leveled up Fury. I was just over midway through, but still crazy how fast it is.
Where did I put my latest inventions?
I mean, we'll see. There's always a chance. There is always a chance. Gaz, especially after the 2.0 update, they did make some good changes that I have liked. They made some changes that I felt mattered less, some changes I didn't really enjoy, but nonetheless, they have made they've made some changes, and it looks like they're at least somewhat listening to feedback again, which is good. But who knows? Who knows? Let's see here. Somebody called me, and I got an email from my boss. I will be right back. I'm just gonna body slide real quick, so I can check this email that I got. We're getting ready to submit a grant, so I just want to make certain that it's not something about that. Okay. Oh, god dang it. Oh, this is ridiculous. Sometimes I hate dealing with Ivy League schools, I swear. I swear. I swear. I swear. I swear. I'm gonna punch them all in the face. It's like, no. Pff. Anyway, back to it. You guys, why does cosmic leveling take so long? I mean, really? I don't know why I did this to myself. You know, having done this now, I have all the more respect for people who do this for, like, every single hero. I'm barely able to get through one without, like, tearing what little hair I have out. Yes, Rev, that's exactly what it was. Oh my god, speaking of which, I thought it was so hilarious. In Marvel vs. Capcom, you can play as Jill Valentine, and she summons zombies. So hilarious. So hilarious. Sorry, sidetracked, but hilarious. Exactly, Donnie, exactly. If stuff doesn't feel valuable, then it's not going to be valued. And that's why, again, a good example is pennies. You know, you see it on morning shows all the time. They make a bunch of YouTube videos about it where they'll have a morning show host go out with like $1 worth of pennies, and they will literally throw it into the streets, and nobody cares. Because they're pennies. Nobody cares about pennies. It's not worth it. Now, throw out a wad of even dollar bills, much less $100 bills, and people gonna be scrambling to get them. Well, I'd be scrambling because I'm starving. I may not be a student anymore, but I still have my wily student ways. Which means that I always attempt to get free food and money whenever I can. Go, Nick! Go, Johnny! Sorry, Juan. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's a tough balancing act, and, like, being completely honest, I do not envy Gaz's job with the whole thing, because they do have to try to balance out the feedback and appease people who are constantly complaining about how there's nothing to be done, and they aren't getting anything that they need or want, and things are too slow, and at the same time trying to appease other people saying that it needs to be moving faster, and they feel like they can't level or they're not getting items fast enough or whatever it happens to be. Balancing that is very difficult. Well, and I'm kind of the same way, Valerian, where, like, I mean, I don't have a lot of my heroes decked out. I didn't play a great deal. I was never a super hardcore player. I used to play a lot more than I do now. But I really have not played a lot through the new content. I've done it like once or twice. I've done it for the purpose of getting story mode XP and stuff like that. Otherwise, not really done much, honestly. just haven't seen a reason to. Green Goblin, that's disgusting. Nobody wants to look at your toys. It's inappropriate for the children's. But like with, I mean, again, you guys have seen it. Unique's dropping like hotcakes. This is insane. I mean, yes, I am playing boosted. I do have quite a few boosts, so that is a caveat for it. But even so, it's like, it's a lot of unique items. Well, and yeah, that's one of the problems with BIS, right? Because we used to have the whole thing about like the competitions with the TTK and all that kind of stuff, but now we're not even bothering with that. Nobody cares. I mean, people care about like, do you have item grade 69? But the only reason for that is just to make certain that you can get through content quickly. And the assumption is that if you have level 69 or rank 69 gear, that you are a good player. You know what you're doing and you're able to do stuff. But who knows? Whatever, Tiny Human called me a noob before. I don't care. She can feed herself. She's so smart. Defeat hammerheads. I don't even know what a hammerhead is. Wasn't this like the Mafia thing? Are the hammerheads technically called the Mafia? Or is vice versa? Is the... There we go, hammerhead. So instead of Magia. Okay, I guess. I'm sure there's a reason for that change, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, and I mean, in the end, it's a problem. And frankly, that is one of the issues I've been having at work, where I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm dealing with a lot of different people who have a lot of different agendas, and I'm trying to appease all of them with singular forms and formats and standards and stuff like that. And it sucks. It is tremendously difficult. So that's what I said. I really don't envy Gaz with what they have to do here, or what they're trying to do. But at the same time, like putting myself in the shoe of a new player, I'm like, yeah, as a new player, I would be pretty happy with this. I would be happy because you level up nice and quickly, you get good gear easily, but honestly, it doesn't take long to reach endgame, and once you reach endgame, it's like, okay, well, now things level off pretty quickly, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm one of those people where personally I never really liked D3. I tried it very, very briefly. I think I got a trial for some reason. I don't remember how. But I did try it out, I remember, and it just, I mean, it wasn't for me. It didn't, I guess from my perspective, I really wanted the very classic Diablo feel, and because it didn't have that, at least not for me, I was just like, nah. And so I stopped playing. But again, I didn't make it to endgame, so I don't know what happens there. Maybe it gets tremendously good. Maybe it feels exactly like Diablo 2 and Lord of Destruction and all that good stuff that we all actually cared about and loved. But for my purposes, meh. My God, you guys, this takes so long. I think I'm going to go just to the next boss wave, and then I'm going to get going here. Because Danny got to eat, unfortunately. That's right, they added Paragon. I remember hearing that. Again, I've not experienced any of that. I didn't even get a D3 character to max level. Same thing in Path of Exile. Never got a character to max level. So I can't speak much to the endgame on that. All I know is what I've heard. So... But I heard that Paragon made made D3 much, much more enjoyable. Which is good. I mean, again, with games like this, you need that staying power. You really, really do. Nature of the beast is if you don't have the staying power, then you're going to be gone. I'm totes ignoring all my homies right now, but I don't care. Stupid facet of the unipower. You guys see how helpful I am with my homies? Incidentally, I'm doing exactly what I hate, which is dropping all of my gear in the middle of the fight zone. Shh, don't tell anybody. So, Euronin, I think that I would say that probably a majority of players are in that boat where they want to experience all the characters. I know I did. Like, I've got pretty much everybody up to level 60. The only people I don't have to 60 are the ones that I don't own. And there are two of them. There's Electra and there's Black Bolt. Those are the only two heroes that I don't have to level 60. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed about the game, was being able to play as all these different heroes, try out the different styles and all that kind of stuff. I really had fun. But that was actually unusual for me, because normally when I play a game like this, whether it's Diablo 2, Path of Exile, whatever, I do generally try out very, very few classes. So for this game specifically, I tried out pretty much everybody I could get my hands on, mostly because of how the system works. Whereas in like Diablo 2, you create a new hero, you go through the same stuff. In this, it feels more rewarding because it's like, wow, I unlocked a new hero. I got the privilege of playing as them, as opposed to at any time I can choose anybody to play as. Yes, we can play heroes up to level 10, but after that, you got to unlock them. But I think that was really the big thing for me personally, at least, was the psychological aspect. That said, I do have heroes that I focus on more than others. And that is the case with most games like this, is that even if you spread out a little bit just to try different things out, once you find something you really like, you're generally going to stick with that one or few things. Very few things. Exactly, exactly. So Valerian really spelled it out nicely about Path of Exile. It is much more character-centric and much more character-specific in terms of the investment that you make character by character. Whereas in Marvel Heroes, it's like, oh, I've unlocked Nick Fury. Okay, I'll play as Nick Fury. And then I play as Nick Fury. And literally in less than an hour, I'm at max level. In Path of Exile, you play for an hour, and I mean, I don't know, what level would you be at? Like level 5, 6-ish, possibly level 10 if you know what you're doing. You know, somewhere around those lines. Your point being that you're going to be far from finished. Not to mention the amount of time and effort you put into the actual character's build. It's absolutely insane. And I think that's a really common sentiment, Euronin, where the IP for Marvel Heroes is really what is setting it apart from most other games. And honestly, that's why a lot of people play it, I'm sure, is just because they are fans of Marvel. So they're like, cool, it's a Marvel video game. I'm going to play it. PoE levels as fast as Cosmic. Maybe, I mean, approximately, I guess. Again, I honestly have not finished a Path of Exile character, so I really don't know. I honestly don't know. I will say I had a lot of fun leveling up my hero. I only made one because, again, in most action RPGs, I personally, as a player, tend to focus on a single one rather than spreading myself out. And PoE was no exception for me, personally. But, yeah, Marvel Heroes, you're essentially incentivized to spread out and to play different heroes. I mean, for crying out loud, we got the hero synergies. Like, why would you not spread out? You get bonuses for spreading out. I wouldn't mind seeing a DC version of Marvel Heroes. That would be pretty cool. Like in a DC-based action RPG, that would be pretty sweet. I think they have a tougher time integrating some of the villains, though. Because we have some really iconic traditional villains, so to speak, that we can play as. Like, for example, you've got... what's his name? We've got, like, Doctor Doom. We've got Magneto. You know, these guys, like, really, really nasty bad guys that people know very well. Whereas in the DC universe, can you really see... unless they do something like what they did with DCUO, where you can play as either good or bad. I mean, could you really have an action RPG where you play as the Joker? I don't know. I don't know if that would really work. Again, just like with Marvel, I'm completely unfamiliar with DC canon. I know nothing about the comics. But to my knowledge, Joker never helped anybody. Maybe Bizarro Joker did at some point, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Path of Exile is interesting. I love, love, love the way that Path of Exile does their character progression with the grid. It reminded me of, I want to say it was Final Fantasy X that had the similar, like, fill out the bubble type of thing in it. It was a lot of fun. But like I said, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get going. Thank you guys so much for being here. Like I said, be on the lookout. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and follow me on my Facebook and my Twitter, because I'll be posting a straw poll thing to see what I'll play on Saturday. And included amongst other things will probably be what's it called? Counter-Strike. So you guys can see just how terrible I am at Counter-Strike. If you all vote for it. But yeah, it's oh, okay, similar to Green Goblin. Okay, well, that's good to know. Either way, well, I hope that you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you especially for the awesome discussion. You guys know I love talking to you guys about all this kind of stuff. It's great, and that's half of the reason why I do this, is so I can hear what you guys have to say. So with that, take care. Have a great week. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on Saturday.